you want to kind of follow up before I continue on this theme? Yes, 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 yes. And we're absolutely now. Here's the here. You. I think you must do my line of work. So now in so we do this work to help clients. What we do is, we send you an assessment and you kind of complete, you answer a bunch of questions. Eventually you get, there is, in the Gallup world, there is about 34 talent themes that are there, so empathy, learning, and discipline, and etc., etc. You've got all of these 34. Each person has got their top five that truly and uniquely define, their natural pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Now, statistically, in South Africa, there is one person out of 33 million people that have the exact order of the top five, which means the way in which we all get to the finish line in South Africa, if we just apply blindly, there's only two people that are hardwired like Lukho at the top five level. The tragedy is this: you are hardwired a certain way, and only two of you in the country are hardwired this way. Do you perhaps at least know how you are hardwired? At a strength, talent theme, pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving. And if the answer is no, that my heart bleeds. So, do you know your top five talent theme from a strength perspective, Luco? Well, yeah, and this purpose statement says, because I of these values and using these talents and the gifts. So now we want to fill that portion of the talents and the gifts. So do you have and we kind of talk a lot about, we must offer our talent, treasure, and our time. And what is said though is that our talents are hidden from us, and they're hidden in plain sight. And one of the things, we would like to encourage our listeners is to sort of say, we can you can reach out like very easily. By day after tomorrow, you know your top five talent themes. We sort of guide you to say, hey, you are hardwired this way. And here's the problem: when you're at work or somewhere and they say these are your development goals, they will look at some things you do well and some things you do badly, and then they say focus on these things that you do bad. But that never makes anyone great. The truly great and successful people, they are people that are riding on their strength, on what is great for them. And I will, if there was something I would like to do, is kind of make sure every single person knows how they are weighted, and they know this as early as they can, so they fully understand what they bring to the table before other people try to sort of even say that, hey, look, oh, maybe you do this well, maybe you do that well. It might be great to kind of know those things. You look like you're in deep thought. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, No, but this is no longer, if we were in the early 1900s, maybe you need to be scratching your head. This is no longer a thing to worry, to like be. going, wow, I wonder if the world is round or not. Like you can do an you can do an assessment today. You can get your report in the next 30 minutes. And then, with a coach like myself, we can walk through your report and we say, here is what you're great at. Because the problem is if you took on a leadership role and then your manager used to lead by kind of doing a lot of numbers and analysis, and you are a relationship builder. If you abandon that about you and you go follow the numbers and the analysis and the spreadsheet, this leadership thing is just feel painful. But your way of succeeding with leading is through relationship building. And when someone succeeds you in the role, they shouldn't copy and paste that relationship building, because that's you. And if you lead that way, you don't even feel like you're leading. It's like, yeah, of course, man. I this is how leadership is supposed to be. Yeah. So so so, so the strength based leadership, to sort of synthesize, is that it's about figuring out your talent theme. Now, the talent theme is just one of the ingredients. Your overall strength, which is, to simply said, is what you do consistently well, right? To sort of achieve what you want to do. So, overall strength is it's a combination of your talent theme plus some of the skills that you've learned how to do things, and plus your knowledge. So when you put together what you know and some of the things that you've learned how to do, plus how you are uniquely wired, if you put that together, you can you we say you have a strength. Now, the knowledge, that's a commodity. Everyone has access to the same knowledge. The skills, we can all kind of learn how to switch on a microphone and do this. What is unique, and there's only two people like Lukho, is how you are hardwired to do this thing. And where people, I think, sort of ignore is their uniqueness. And my challenge on strength based leadership before we transition to the community is, let's find out what your strengths are. Reach out to anyone that can help you do any of these assessment insights, Enneagram, Gallup strength. We do all of them to kind of figure out truly what are your unique gifts and talent from a natural perspective. Obviously, there's other things that are more spiritual, and what those talents and spiritual gifts, the conversation for another day, which we can pick up. So that's the piece on strength. I think you must. I think my team is listening. Maybe we'll just shoot you. We shoot through your an assessment your way, and then before, yeah, after the show, perhaps you can sit and do the assessment. I'll be more than happy to unpack your report, because I because my goal in this, right, is that by the time maybe next week or week after, we should be able to complete your paper statement, because of these are three core values for Lukho. These are the top five strengths for Lukho, and then this is the community that you meant to say. Should we transition to community? Lovely. So systematically, it's largely through that process we spoke about. We need to figure out your talent and your skills and your knowledge, and that gives us your strength. And then we can map these out, and you go, I think my top strengths are these. Then we get some feedback from people. Hey, I'm working through trying to figure myself out a little bit more. I've figured out these are my strengths. How do you experience me? Before you know it, we lock in your top strengths. Once we do, that becomes the thing you use everywhere. I'll give you a quick example. What's everyone's favorite New Year's resolution? Ah, yeah, but the real one is people want to lose weight, right? of some sort. Yeah, yeah. Now the question is, how do you craft a plan to successfully go and lose weight? Right. Now, some people will be like, okay, let me get a diet and let me follow it strictly every morning, every day, right? Some people will say, I'm gonna join gym, and some people will say, I'm gonna run a race, I'm gonna do this and that. Now, we all know most of these things fall apart to a large extent. There's other many reasons, but one of the main ones is we pick habits that are not entirely lined up to how we are naturally hardwired. So everyone has I'm going to repeat this. Everyone has a natural, unique pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving, which is outlined in the report that we spoke about, which we will get you the report. Now, if you are hardwired for discipline, that I asked you the question earlier to say, do you keep a list of things to do now and even on the weekend? Some people will say resoundingly yes. Now, if that person wants to lose weight, if they get a detailed diet, they can follow it to the T. But if you give me, who is hardwired a whole lot differently, then things don't go so well. Then you are hired for community and relationships. If we let you do exercises alone and we help you build a gym at home and we say there, work alone, there's a good chance that you might not carry that through. But if we get you into a community where it's a group exercise and there's activities together, because that's already aligned to who you are, there's a good chance that you will follow through and do that. Now, someone like me, very competitive, you want me to exercise, sign me up for a race or something that we're gonna try do something impossible. But don't like so the reason, once you know it's like your superpower. Once you know how you're hardwired, you use that for everything, to advance your career, your leadership, to lose weight, to do all of these things. When someone says, hey, here's an idea for you, you kind of go, am I hardwired this way? I know if I'm not, I'm gonna try it for the first 3 months, it's gonna fall off. Absolutely, because it's how you're hardwired. The problem is we try to do things that are against our. It's like it's. So when we do these exercises, we ask you to write a sentence using your less dominant hand. For me, it's a left hand. So sorry, and is that your less dominant hand? I see, I see, I see. So when you say, I'm gonna join gym and do this and that, right, and ignore the things that are aligned to your pattern of thinking and feeling, you are saying for my New Year's resolution, I'm gonna be writing my name every day with my left hand. There's a good chance that you will not follow through. So it's important that everyone is super clear and knows how they are hardwired and what's natural for them. And you use those natural abilities to literally address anything that you want to achieve. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So these values, the strength, these are building blocks for us to lead well. But what's key is that it's about saving others. It's not just like, hey, I've got this strength and the skills, and then like I go around saying I am a prophet for the prophet's sake, or I am an orator, this and that and that. If it's just like that, it helps no one. But it's about who are you meant to serve. And for this, we want to kind of chat a little bit about design thinking, which is a concept really anchored largely and kind of get publicized and built upon by Tim Brown, and that provides a framework for us to kind of think about, to think about the community we are meant to serve. So now, you asked what design thinking is about. really, it's a human centered approach to solving problems that helps leaders engage deeply with the people that they serve. And this is leaders in spiritual communities, in business, etc., etc. And there's sort of, to a large extent, depending on who you ask, there's about 4 or 5 steps. But the first one, regardless of who you ask, is that design thinking starts with empathy. Empathy for the people you are solving for. It's about listening beyond the words of the people you're engaging with. It's about kind of spending time, kind of observing their real experiences, immersing yourself in their midst, and then only then could you think about, how you want to serve them. For instance, if you lead a youth community of some sort, whether a church or an NGO, etc. The question is, how deeply have you engaged yourself in their world, figure out what their challenges are, and done it like rigorously, stay and walk in their shoes before you start crafting a song for them or writing a book for them or even putting together a sermon for them. I think we find over time institutions, whether church, sorry, yeah, go for it. Yes, 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 yes. Over time, organizations, big and small, they tend to be inward focus, right? We'll use a church as an example, where it very quickly becomes more about, so which 3 songs are we going to sing? Which program are we going to run? And the first question is that before you launch a program, for who? Where are they at? What's their struggles? Have you been to where they live? Have you walked a journey with them? And there's many tools to do this, by the way, to really kind of deepen your empathy. And when we move away to becoming more and more internal as an organization and as a leadership team, before you know it, we lose touch with the people we're meant to serve. And then we keep drumming the same drum, and yet nothing happens in society. My big fear is that we have more and more organizations, and we are seeing less and less impact because organizations are turning mostly inward. A good question. One of the people who impacted me in my younger days, I mean high school days, was John Maxwell, and he's got such powerful quotes that maybe we will help us kind of uh, close this. One is, John Maxwell says the bottom line leadership isn't how far we advance ourselves, but it's how far we advance others. And I just wonder, our leaders listening to us today, are we measuring our leadership impact by how far we've gone up the ranks? I used to be here, and now I am head of. I used to be at a call center. Now I'm a manager. So it's very easy to start to measure our leadership impact by how we've advanced ourselves. And what John C. Maxwell is sort of saying is, hey, can we sort of turn this thing away from us again and kind of go, how are we advancing others? How are we uplifting others and not necessarily ourselves? And this is the whole conversation on servant leadership, that it gets spoken of, but usually it can sort of gets put away, if it were. So now this idea of figuring out your values, your strengths, and the community you're meant to serve is sort of saying, how do I maximize my service of others? Not only to advance my own my own career. And you'll be surprised, even in the volunteer work, where people said, I used to volunteer and now I'm the head of the group. And then that's just become a thing. You upload it even on your CV. The tendency or the temptation to make leadership about self advancement is very, very um, is very high. And when we coach people, oftentimes, you kind of say, hey, what do you want to achieve? in the very first 3 minutes, if you listen very closely, you realize most of it is I want to advance me. And this conversation is sort of say, hey, how could we no, and it's both. It's covered in different layers, right? I'm a high potential, and I would like to get to the next management level, or I feel it here, but I want to. And the orientation, when you boil it down, it's largely about how do I advance me. And my challenge for us today is how do we advance others. Yes, and next week we might actually unpack your results on the show. Uh, my email address is mandat@superlead.co.za, or you can call our office at 078 020 0051, and then someone will attend to you if you want to figure out your strengths. I just wish everyone can know how God has uniquely and naturally hardwired them to think, feel, and behave, and kind of use that as their launch pad for their superpower, and align all their activities and their goals and their habits along those lines, and make life 700 times easier to achieve all that God has for you. Absolutely. Lovely. Have a fantastic one.